Alright, I'm here with a review of the Fenix PD31. This is a new light that Fenix has fairly recently released. It's been long awaited by a lot of people. Some people that had the TK12, and now the TK15 is out, and a lot of people think these lights are fairly similar and they were waiting for them to get a comparison between the two. So I'll go ahead and do a little video review of the PD31, and I'll throw in the TK15 and even the TK12 for some comparison. So here's the box. Kind of standard Fenix box on the PD31, cardboard, pretty colors, etc. Box opens. Inside the box is the instruction manual. The belt clip and pouch that comes standard with Fenix. This either comes undone, or you can put it through up in here. Put the light in here, and then the other standard Fenix accessory that comes along is a lanyard. There's an extra button in here and 2 extra O-rings. So a pretty standard fare for Fenix. Not sure I'll ever use any of it, but it's nice that they include it with you, or with the light anyway. My Surefire, I got nothing with it, just the light. And then we have the light itself. There you go. Fenix PD31. It's a great little light. Gives you two different battery options. Either 2 CR123 batteries or one 18650 battery. We'll zoom in just a little bit. Fairly small in the hand. Not too bad of a everyday carry type light. Not as good, for instance, as compared to this PD20 that I use now mostly for everyday carry. But really, it's not a whole lot bigger. Not very heavy, not very long, 4.75, or sorry, it's 4.75 inches by 0.9 inches on the head here. With the 2 CR123 batteries, it's 3.3 ounces. I think it's just a little bit heavier with that 18650 battery. And it's nice to give the options. Some people like the larger batteries, the bigger capacity, the rechargeables. So they give you the option. It does have the reverse polarity protection so that you don't blow up your flashlight when you put the batteries in backwards accidentally. Has the standard, typical Fenix construction. Type 3 hard anodized aluminum. Nice scratch resistant finish. Back here on the back, it has their, here on the back and on the body, it has their standard rhombic knurling. Gives you a little bit more grippiness to it. Starting at the tail cap here, it has a U-shaped tail cap. The button is just slightly recessed in there, and that gives you the ability to tail stand it if you like. A little bit wobbly, but it will work. Much better than the TK15, which does not tail stand. Similarly, the PD20, you can tail stand that as well. Moving down, the tail cap comes off. There's an O-ring there to help with that IPX8 rating. 2 CR123 batteries. They are looking into it. Threads feel nice and secure. Pocket clip here, kind of standard Fenix pocket clip. There it is on the PD31 or the PD20. My only possible complaint about this pocket clip, if I had to pick one, was that right here it goes along just a little bit of an edge right there. Right in there. Whereas this PD20, for instance, has a nice flat surface that it goes along. And potentially, you know, after repeated uses, I could see this maybe wearing on your pocket a little bit. Again, kind of a small thing, but potentially could happen. Moving forward, up in the front here, there are these scalloped areas, 6 of them, and that helps protect it from rolling. Keep it nice and stationary there. Head comes off. Again, another rubber O-ring there. Threads in front. There's the cap. You put the batteries in from the front if you're so inclined. The head here, warning that it might get hot. PD31, this is the R5 version. Has the scalloping 5 crenellated areas on the head and the standard anti-reflective coated lens with the XPG R5 LED in there, rated for 50,000 hours. standard. Plenty for most people. The edge here is just slightly crenellated, not nearly as much as, say, the TK15 or the Surefire is similar, but the edges are just a little bit rougher, a little bit sharper, so that if by some chance you wanted to use this as some type of striking weapon, you probably do a little bit more damage with one of these. You could probably still do something with these, but not quite as much. So that's kind of standard for that. The brightness, the throw, the user interface. This, like the other lights in the PD line, has the general mode and the turbo mode. And in the general mode, there's usually 3 or 4 settings along with an SOS. And then moving up onto the turbo mode, it goes to its highest output and a strobe setting. This light has a very nice low user level of 2 lumens, which is wonderful. It goes 2 lumens for a total of 200 hours, all the way up to 304 lumens for 2 hours and 15 minutes. And the way it works, the way you get between the 2 different modes, is that the head here untwists just a little bit, not much at all, just barely a turn there. And so when it's slightly loosened, you start in the general mode, and that starts down at 2 lumens, which it's a little hard to tell here, but when you compare that to the 9 lumens of the PD20, that 9 lumens is actually almost too bright in some situations. If you're in a restaurant trying to read a menu, if you are going through the house at night or somewhere, that's surprisingly bright, that 9 lumens. The 2 lumens is perfect for that sort of thing. Even a couple of the lights I have that have less than 1 lumen output, they are plenty. So if this PD20 came out, if they came out with a new version that had something in the realm of this 2 lumens, I would probably get another one. So anyway, to go between the brightnesses, you half press on the tail button, go 2 lumens for 200 hours, 67 lumens for 16 hours, 124 lumens for 8 hours and 16 minutes, and then it goes into this SOS mode. Not sure how often I'll ever use that, probably never, but I suppose if I'm stuck out in the middle of somewhere, I need to signal someone, I can leave this on for, well, at least 8 hours, not longer, obviously. So it's something to have, I suppose. And then half press again will get you back down to the 2 lumens. Now to get into the turbo mode, all you do is you just twist this head to tighten, and it goes into the 100 or the 304 lumens. It'll be there for 2 hours and 15 minutes, and then you half press it again, and it goes into the strobe. Half press back to the turbo mode, and then slightly loosen, and it goes back into the standard default general mode. So that's the user interface. Has a little bit different setup than, say, the TK15. The way this works is it has this side click button, and it cycles through based on that. And then the strobe on this is a little bit hidden. You have to hold the button down, and it goes into the strobe. And you compare that to the TK12, which has this funky twist-untwist. So between the two, untwist it to go to the lower level. And then to get between the different modes, you go tight, loose, tight, and that moves between them. And I did a review of this light separately. You can check that out. So a little bit different user interface between the 3. The PD31 has a reverse click design, meaning that you push the button in, and when you let go, that's when the light comes on. As opposed to the TK15 that has a forward click design, meaning you push it in, and as it's going forward, you can get that momentary on, a little bit more of a tactical type design. So these lights are set up for a little bit different purposes. You know, the PD31 is a great sort of general purpose light, outdoor light, keep in your car light. It would actually not even be bad for everyday carry. You know, compared to the PD31, or the PD20 rather, and if you put the pocket clips in the same spot, it's really only going to sit in your pocket about a ½ inch farther, and it's obviously going to stick out a lot farther on top here, but you know, it's only just barely a little bit thicker. So if you're looking for a brighter light to carry around every day, this PD31 is really not a bad option. Otherwise, it's not really a tactical light. It doesn't really have the momentary on, as I mentioned, but great light for keeping, you know, wherever you need to keep it. Pretty decent price. I think retail price is $77. You can find it cheaper at various places on the internet. This light, beam-wise, puts out a broader, more flood than throw, whereas the TK15 puts out a much narrower beam. So the PD31 is going to be better for kind of lighting up a whole area, lighting up a whole room. You're not going to miss someone hiding in the corner. Although once you get up in this 300 lumen level, and even the TK12, which is 245 lumens, which is really not much of a difference between, as I explained in the TK12 video, the decision between which one you get, I'll just put them all next to each other here so you can compare them. The difference between which one you get really kind of comes down to what you're going to use it for and what type of user interface you're looking for. These two, the TK12 and the TK15, are a little bit more tactical. They are maybe a little bit brighter. PD31 is certainly much easier to carry. I actually think I like the user interface on the TK or on the PD31 and the PD20 a little bit better because for the most part, those lower lumen outputs are plenty for almost everything you do. Whereas on the TK15, you have to cycle through all of the levels, and on the TK12, it's a little bit more funky to get through between the different modes. So, there's not really one that I think has the best user interface. They all have their different ones, depending on what you're looking for to use it for. But that's kind of basic rundown of the light, the PD31, and compare it size-wise to the other ones. For the heck of it, I'll throw in this Surefire backup. For those of you that are wondering how it is compared to that. I did take the PD31 outside and did a little bit of a beam comparison with it compared to the TK15. And I'll go ahead and show that to you. You'll see that there's not really a huge difference between the two. The playground that I am doing it on is about 50 or 75 feet away from me. And they both light it up pretty equally. The PD31 has maybe a little bit more flood, but they're both pretty equal. And for that matter, when I compared the TK12, it was fairly equal as well. So I'll go ahead and throw that in here. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to throw them in there and I'll try and answer them. And as always, I appreciate you watching. Thanks. Alright, here's the TK15 compared to the new PD31. First, the PD31 at 304 lumens has a little bit broader beam than the TK15. Lights up kind of that whole playground. And then TK15, a little bit more focused beam and brighter beam. Here's the PD31 again. So they're both, there's the TK15 again. Both pretty bright. I think the TK15 has a bit more focused beam. Does seem a bit brighter, but not hugely. There's the PD31 one last time. They both light that thing up very nicely.